Dental Fuel, the podcast that focuses on what no one else is talking about: mistakes. The dental world is full of before and afters, and no one is talking about the middle. Dental Fuel brings you the unspoken in between. Dental Fuel is brought to you by Ignite DDS Masterminds. Masterminds is a program that helps provide you the tools you need to take the next steps in your career. We are back with Irene Iancu, who shares a financial mistake she has made and the importance of building systems in a dental office. Let's tune in. Speaking of business, and you must know finances really well because you're running your practice, and probably something you had to learn as you started to build and grow. But what are some financial mistakes that you've made in your journey, especially with starting your practice, that you've definitely learned from?
Financial mistakes. I've learned financial mistakes in the essence of not having systemization in order to check on other employees. Now, this is going to sound really bad if I don't elaborate. I mean, I don't mean micromanage people. I just mean that as a startup, right? So nobody is really taught how to be a business owner when they come out of school, whether that's dental hygiene school or dental school. I think we both equally receive some form of informal training. And then you're kind of just led to, choose from the experiences that you've had working in previous practices, take what's worked from them, implement it, and then, you figure it out as you go. You learn from your mistakes and from other people's mistakes. But when you work as an associate or as an employee or whomever in a practice, you're not really privy to the behind the scenes stuff, because that goes into like HR stuff. Like that goes into deep HR that nobody talks about because you want to keep things confidential and private. So you may have never seen an employment agreement, or you may have never conducted an interview for somebody, or you don't even know what the day-to-day job of an office manager or a treatment coordinator is, and how to set specific KPIs in order to ensure that they're being efficient with their time and also with your resources. So fast forward to me deciding to open a practice, and then COVID happens where everything shuts down. And we went through this like weird phase of like nobody really knowing what was going to happen. I realized that I didn't have some of these core systems in place. So I operated my office for a year without an office manager or a treatment coordinator. And then, systemization needed to be made. Following up on treatment plans, checking in with breakdowns, calling patients, all of those like little tiny things that I didn't realize were broken until, a year later or 2 years later, when you hire someone to take over that role and they're like, okay, so where's the spreadsheet for this? And it's like, I don't have one. I just like print off the list off of Yappy or print off the list off of Open Dental.
Yeah.
So what I learned now recently in the process of hiring a new person, because if you don't create these KPIs or systems and people take liberties, like the liberty that one of my office managers took 1 month with writing off almost $5,000 worth of collection because there was no system in place to follow up on secondary claims that were sent to insurance companies. Now here we don't have great coordination of benefits. So you'll send something to a primary, they'll pay you. Then you have to physically mail in with a stamp a signed copy of a claim form to an insurance company with the proof of the EOB from the primary insurance company that will tell them how much they pay. So then the secondary will pay the difference.
That's ridiculous.
I spend hundreds of dollars a month in stamps.
Postage is so expensive.
So if there's no system in place of like, okay, so we mailed this, then what? We're just like hoping that Harry Potter's owl returns with a paycheck. And yes, they're still checks. They're physical paper checks. So the office manager was like, okay, well, we didn't receive anything. These claims are now stale. They're not going to get paid. So I need to go in and write them off. That was a system that I didn't have. And it cost me $5,000 to learn it.
Jeez.
That's just one.
Well, aside from learning systems as you went, did you take any courses or anything, or
no? Well, I kind of
just the
did.
course of life.
Kind of did. So I'm a big fan of listening to podcasts as a podcaster. So I've been listening to Dr. Mark Costas's podcast for a little while. He runs an organization called DSI and DSN, Dental Success Institute and Dental Success Network. So I'm not a member of their organization because I'm just not quite there yet. But I listen to a lot of their podcasts and I go to their conference every year. I bought their manuals on Amazon. So like they have an office manual, office manager manual, office operations manual, hygiene manual. So we kind of follow those loosely and some elements a little more tightly, but that's kind of what I went to a dental economics conference the year that I opened. DE runs something called the Principles of Practice Management, and they use their KOLs and they talk about scaling and stuff. But again, it was a little bit more advanced. I needed just entry level.
Yeah, this is the Excel sheet.
This is what to do when someone calls in sick stuff.
Yeah. I get that.
This is what you do when two people request to be off at the same time. This is what you do when your compressor fails. Like I needed that level of hand-holding.
Yeah, I would feel the same. So I don't think at this point I don't think owning's in my trajectory, but I mean I would need the same kind of hand holding. I need like every little, like how do you open the door? Step one at a time, and kind of guide me from there.
And unfortunately, that like it exists, but it also doesn't exist, and it exists, and it's quite expensive. But
it is, yeah.
We don't have the time. So I think like if you were to say to me, okay, I need you to work with me for 6 months, and I'll get you on board. Like I need bite-sized morsels of information that I can adapt immediately, which unfortunately didn't happen right away.
That's I guess that's understandable. I mean, all that takes time, and there's like, I feel like it's not really streamlined. Well, I guess in the States you could take the Ignite Masterminds course, and that can help. But I think that it's hard. There's just so many different pieces. And
I mean, there are very different pieces between Canada and the U.S.
Oh, for
too.
sure.
Like, even on the insurance side, I don't know if anything I just said made sense at all.
But there's in summary, insurance is a mess here and there.
Yeah.
Thanks for tuning into this episode of Dental Fuel. Join us next week as we talk about a teen mistake Irene has made. You can follow her on Instagram at toothlife.irene. You can also follow us on Instagram at Dental Fuel and at IgniteDDS. You can learn more about Ignite Dental Masterminds at ignitedds.com/masterminds.